We have just received reports of an earthquake. Our correspondents are on the scene, ready to bring you the latest developments.
That was scary. I was just about to finish my jigsaw puzzle. I wonder what causes earthquakes. Maybe the devil gets a tummy ache. That's crazy. Oh, hi, Jeannie.
Hey, what's all this devil nonsense, Alex, huh?
I was just a little shaken up.
Earthquakes take place when the ocean layer penetrates under the continental layer and causes the land to move.
Ah, do you mean to say that the bottom of the ocean moves?
Not only oceans, but land as well, even whole continents.
No, you're kidding.
Of course I'm not kidding. Have you ever heard of the Continental Drift?
Yes, I have.
Tell us then.
Just a second. 70 years ago, a scientist named Wegener studied the phenomenon of continental drift. Do I still sound shaken up, Jeannie, or am I right?
No, you're right.
But how could anyone possibly know that continents drift? I just don't get it.
Believe it or not, Wegener made the discovery thanks to a jigsaw puzzle like yours.
A jigsaw puzzle?
Take a good look at this globe. Now watch, I'm going to turn it around and put Africa in the center. You think the Earth was always as it is today? Speaking of puzzles, do you notice anything interesting? Look closely, kids.
But what?
Abracadabra!
Oh!
Now do you see what I mean?
It looks like a jigsaw puzzle all put together.
Wegener's theory was that the continents were all one continent before being separated.
Wow, all one continent!
That's
amazing.
Alfred Wegener was born in Berlin, Germany in 1880. His father was a minister of the Evangelist Protestant Church. After studying meteorology at the University of Hamburg, Wegener became interested in physics and high altitudes. Oh, I'm getting dizzy. Oh! Hey, that's high enough. I want to come down. In April 1906, Alfred Wegener and his brother Kurt beat the world record for a balloon flight. In 1913, Wegener was invited to participate in a Danish expedition to Greenland, whose goal was to map out the region. The expedition studied meteorology, astronomy, botany, zoology, geology, and glaciers. 10 people participated: Captain Koch in charge of cartography or map making, 7 scientists, and 2 artists. The elements were difficult to contend with, but the team was up to the task.
There are so many mysteries of nature to solve. Scientists must realize that all sciences must cooperate if we are ever going to solve the mystery of our planet's origins. We will never succeed without a free exchange of information and experience.
Mr. Wegener, please, let's turn back.
What are you saying? We've only just arrived, Jeannie. We're going to stay here for at least 2 years.
2 years? 2 years? I don't believe it. I'm going to turn into an ice cube.
But the 2 years went by very quickly, and Wegener's work was appreciated. He was warmly received in Copenhagen by Professor Koppen, a maritime meteorology specialist.
Wegener, I'd like you to meet my daughter, Els.
How do you do?
Els would soon become Mrs. Wegener.
My research in Greenland was greatly appreciated, and before long I'm bound to be offered a university post. Els, darling, will you marry me?
Yes, Alfred.
No, I cannot believe that this is merely a coincidence.
Well, I wonder what he's thinking now.
My dearest Els.
Huh? So that's it. And I thought all Wegener cared about was his research. Huh? Huh?
Els, I want you to have a look at the map of the world. Don't you get the impression that the eastern coast of South America would attach perfectly to the west coast of Africa?
Look carefully at the drawing I've sent you. I must absolutely succeed in demonstrating and proving this theory. Oh.
I'm opposed to this theory of his.
But what is so wrong about Alfred trying to demonstrate that South America and Africa were once the same landmass?
Because it's absurd. The man's mad.
You think he's mad, Father?
Yes, I do. He's not a scientist. He should spend more time studying in his own field, meteorology, and not expounding theories in areas he knows nothing about. This so-called one-continent theory, why, it's absolutely preposterous, a waste of time.
What do you mean?
I mean that he's got far too much imagination. Too much for my taste, at least.
Oh, Father, I'm terribly disappointed in you.
Nevertheless, Wegener was convinced he was right. He continued his research and made his findings known. Inside this hall, Wegener's presenting the results of his work. Let's go inside and listen. Oh!
Ridiculous!
Jigsaw puzzles to study the Earth's origins. What next?
I simply ask you to use your imaginations. As you see,
Wegener, you would do better not to expound on theories in areas you know nothing about.
Assuming that the east coast of South America and West Africa can be put together as in a puzzle, there are thousands of miles separating the two continents. What about that, Wegener? You seem to take into account only the elements supporting your idea. You disregard the rest. Yes.
You're a competent meteorologist, and that's where you should stay.
Stay where you belong.
That's right. Go back to weather reporting. I agree with them, Wegener. You still have a great deal to learn about meteorology. Don't fritter away your time on fanciful theories. If you continue in this vein, you will never be recommended for a university post.
my research in Greenland was greatly appreciated, and before long I'm bound to be offered a university post. Elsa, darling, will you marry me?
I refuse to permit it.
Oh, my God.
Mr. Wegener, I think you'd better give up.
No, I don't care what people say. Let them laugh at my puzzles. I'm determined to solve this mystery. We must be prepared to make use of each new discovery, no matter the field, to advance and modify our conclusions.
I'm determined to solve this mystery. When you're determined, as Wegener was, that's half the battle. Here you see a glacier which exists today at the South Pole. Remains of glaciers have been found in the heart of Africa, in northern India, and in Australia. These glaciers are 300 million years old. How is it that there were once glaciers in such distant regions which today have hot climates? Wegener thought that at that time, the continents weren't where they are now. If we regroup the continents around the South Pole, we reform the ancient glacier. At the end of the first era, 200 million years ago, there was only one supercontinent, the Pangeo, surrounded by one ocean, the Panthalassa. Gigantic breaks occurred, opening the Pangeo, and the supercontinent exploded into pieces. We're now in the second era, the era of reptiles, 180 million years ago. The continents are still moving. Now, we're in the third era. It's the beginning of the age of birds and mammals. Now, watch the movement of the continent of India in red. It separates from Antarctica and moves in the direction of Asia. The two continents, India and Asia, collide, and Asia passes underneath. When India collided with Asia, it raised it and created a crease. And that's how the Himalaya Mountains were formed. Many of the rocks which make up the Himalaya Mountains come from the ocean floor. Here's some proof. This shellfish fossil was found in the Himalayas. And here we have the location of the continents as we know them today, where 5 billion people now live.
Continental drift can also be demonstrated thanks to the distribution of plants and animals. Take, for example, the case of earth snails. They are found in Europe and in North America. How did the snail manage to cross the Atlantic Ocean? Do you honestly believe that a snail could succeed in swimming thousands of miles?
Perhaps there was a bridge then.
I'm sure you all find that very amusing.
How could anyone possibly build a bridge across the Atlantic? Whoop!
Ancient writings talk about a lost continent called Atlantis, which was located between Europe and America.
A lost continent?
Yes, the Greek philosopher Plato wrote about it. It seems that 12,000 years ago, an enormous explosion destroyed the entire continent. And its mysteries are buried at the bottom of the sea, according to Plato.
Oh, wow.
However, there is absolutely no proof that such a continent ever existed or that it was in the Atlantic.
What other explanation is there?
I have other proof to advance my theory. The island of Madagascar is located about 2,000 miles from India. Yet in India and on Madagascar, we find the same species of lemurs. And lemurs cannot swim. Are you going to tell me that there was a bridge there, too? Without knowing that they would one day be separated by thousands of miles, the lemurs ran freely throughout the Pangeo 200 million years ago. It was the breaking up of the Pangeo that separated them.
In that case, I would be curious to know how you account for the energy necessary for such an explosion.
You most certainly don't believe that these land masses floated on the waves like corks.
Gentlemen, I did not come here to entertain you. The Earth possesses an energy which comes from its depths. Think of the heat given off by volcanic eruptions. Why couldn't this energy be capable of moving whole continents?
That's utterly ridiculous.
I've heard enough.
So have I. And
Your ideas are absurd.
Koppen was right. Wegener was greatly appreciated as a meteorologist, but he was considered to be a sort of crackpot when it came to his continental drift theories. And obviously, crackpots were not considered to be good universe material. Wegener continued his research. He was still determined to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that his theory on continental drift was correct. But even 1,000 pieces of evidence would not be enough to convince anyone, unless he could discover the reason for the drift.
Ah, there you are, Alfred.
Els,
You certainly don't look like someone who's just made an historic discovery.
Uh-huh.
Why, your theory is just as important as that of Darwin.
That's going a little too far. Charles Darwin?
But I'm not the one who said it, darling. It was my father.
Mr. Koppen?
Yes, he's finally been convinced, and he thinks if you left meteorology and devoted all your time to studying your continental drift theory, you'll end up by solving the mystery. You can do it, Alfred. I know you can. Although I think you're so clever and energetic that you can do both at the same time and even find time for us. That's my opinion.
Huh.
Let's not wait for a university post. Let's get married. And if we have trouble making ends meet, I can go out and find a job.
Darling. Thank you, Els. Thank you.
Best of luck, kids! Now, what was this tremendous energy force capable of moving continents? In 1928, a British scientist by the name of Arthur Holmes stated that convection movements might exist under the Earth's surface. It could very well have been the energy Wegener was trying to explain, but no one was capable of connecting these two ideas. Let's see how Professor Holmes came up with his theory. Here we have a section of the Earth. The Earth is made up of 3 different layers: the crust in green, the mantle in red, and the core in orange and yellow. Holmes claimed that there were convection movements in the mantle. A convection movement is a little like the movement that occurs when we heat up water. The hot water at the bottom of the pot comes to the surface because it's lighter, and the cold water, which is more dense, goes down along the edge. In the same way, the convection in the Earth's mantle causes the Earth's crust to move. In other words, the continents moved on the mantle as if they were on a conveyor belt. It wasn't until the beginning of the 1960s that the Continental Drift theory became accepted. We're now in the Antarctic in 1969.
Look at this. What in the world can it be?
It's the paw print of a reptile. Amazing. I've never seen one in the Antarctic, but it looks familiar. It's the print of a Lystrosaurus, a reptile from the Second Era.
The discovery of this print furthered the theory that Antarctica, Africa, India, Australia, and South America were once all attached to each other and formed one huge continent. Other discoveries of animal fossils and even plants all helped to confirm this theory. After the Lystrosaurus, which was found in Africa and India, there was the Glossopteris, a fern whose fossils were found in Africa, India, Australia, and Antarctica. The Mesosaurus was found in Argentina and in South Africa. The study of the Earth's magnetic field also contributed positive proof that continents moved. But now we're getting a little complicated. Oceanographic research begun in 1947 has indicated the existence of a huge volcanic mountain chain in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And that's how the Continental Drift theory finally became accepted. It took 50 years! Well, did you manage to get all that?
Incredible, Jeannie. Are the continents still moving?
Sure they are. They never stop.
Oh, I never knew that. Neither did I.
For example, let's look at the San Francisco area. This is the San Andreas Fault. It's 600 miles long from the northwest of San Francisco to the Bay of California. The Pacific layer is moving towards the northwest. The North American layer is pushed to the southeast. In San Francisco, the movement is approximately 1 to 2 inches a year. In 10 million years, the west of California will be an island in the Pacific, 130 miles from the mainland.
Oh, no.
California is only an example. Look at this. In East Africa, we can see the beginnings of a new ocean. The lava rises from the depths of the mantle and slowly pushes out pieces of the continent. The crust breaks, and so East Africa is slowly separating from the continent. And now let's have a look at what our good old Earth will look like in 50 million years, okay?
Mm-hmm. Look, Africa's gone way up to the north. Yes, and South America, too. The two Americas are completely separate.
And San Francisco is where Hawaii is now.
Oh, look! Oh. Hawaii. Oh, I think I'd like it that way. Oh, well, that's no problem, Kim. All you have to do is wait 50 million years.
That's right. Don't you wonder what people will look like in 50 million years? Hey, we've forgotten all about Alfred Wegener.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, Jeannie, what happened to him? The last time we saw him, he was about to marry Els.
On November 1st, 1930, his 50th birthday, Wegener left on another expedition to Greenland. And on the way back to the camp at Kamariuk, he disappeared. And in May of the following year,
Over here!
his body was found. Alfred Wegener was buried in the snow of the Greenland he loved so much.
I still find it hard to imagine that continents move.
So do I.
Hey, Alex, have you seen the time?
We'll never be able to get up tomorrow. Good night, Kim.
Good night.